Hello everybody, look who is here. Clay Millican is hanging out here at 210 Raceway. Just kind of doing a little bit of a recap. He was at Bradenton first, then we took him to the Daytona 500, then did some flat track racing, hung out there, and then we took him to the first NHRA race of the year at Gainesville. So lots to talk about.
It is. And you know, we sat down with Brent, you and I did, that was fun, and we kind of talked about we're going to try to do these recaps, and with your schedule, which is even crazier than mine, and mine's crazy, it is a little hard to do this, so we got a few to catch up on. But before we get to the racing, what I want to talk about is something that old Robbie Benton, president of RWR, and myself might have snuck in on you, and that was putting your top fuel car on the roller dyno there at Cletus's.
I know, that was...
How did you find out about that?
Well, I just heard, you know, some rumblings about doing some, you know, wild stuff with Cletus, and of course, you know, that goes without saying. It's always going to be something big and large. So I heard some rumblings, and then I started hearing something about, you know, getting hooked up to the rollers, and in my mind I'm thinking, man, how are we going to do much of a pull, because the tires grow, and I'm thinking of being strapped, and in my mind, I'm just thinking of straps breaking and tires hooking up and dragsters launching and police coming and fire departments and expensive parts everywhere. But, you know, once I heard about it, man, I was, you know, I'm all for kind of pushing the limit and creating some excitement. And I know you and Jim O have a little bit of common sense. Now, Cletus, you know, he's going to push the envelope. So, you know, old Lutz was there too. And so he was making sure everything was under control. So I thought it was really cool just because, you know, we need to start doing some things that are kind of outside the box, and hopefully we do. We're going to do some more, like, you know, chasing down a Corvette from a 2-second gap, you know, at a 150-mile-an-hour closing rate. You know, things like that are pretty wild. So that was great seeing you race Ruby. So
that was an incredible week. It really was. I mean, the amount of coverage we got was just unbelievable. I mean, it's been kind of a running joke amongst me and all my YouTube buddies. Pretty much we had, drag racing wise, we had like the entire YouTube automotive group in our pit area there that week. Yeah. And it was kind of fun for me, and I don't know how much you were paying attention because, and I'm kind of skipping to the final round there at Bradenton, but sitting in the car, you know, we had a main stud pull after the engine was fairly close to being done and ready to go for the final round there, and we had to make a motor change. Then we had no oil pressure. But
really? I didn't notice.
Well, I think what you probably might not have noticed, because you had game face on and $250,000 on your mind, was the amount of people outside of our pit area and how involved they became waiting to see if we got oil pressure. Yeah. And I didn't know if you really were paying attention to that. I know you had your mind on we need to get up there. But
well, I knew we had a small contained zoo for the whole week. But yeah, I was pretty fixated on, you know, I kind of go in and out, getting my coffee and come back out, and I'm like, wait a minute, man, we're going backwards. We're not going forwards. And yeah, so I was pretty stressed. It's one thing to go have to make a whole motor change because of that. We couldn't repair it, and then we fire it up because we lost all that time, but then we got no oil pressure. And then obviously it ended up being just a line issue and not an actual pressure issue, which would have been the next problem. Right. So yeah, we were turd and Twinkies for sure. Oh, and so it was pretty tough. But man, we got through it, and it was a show. It was a show.
For me, I got so pumped up. Again, I'm facing the people the way we have the car back in the pit area, and when it first started, I wasn't even thinking about the people. I was given the shut it off sign because we had no pressure, and then with thrash going on. But when it started, I did a little fist bump because I knew all these people I literally could hear the crowd over the car running. Yeah. Which pumps you up. You know what I mean? I mean, it's pretty cool that we had that many eyeballs over there watching, you know, and 250 grand just to wisp the tire smoke away. But man, what a week that was. I mean, for you, what was probably the biggest takeaway from that pro shootout?
Well, you know, everybody, you know, going for a record purse in drag racing. I mean, drag racing's been around a long time, right? And you've been in a lot of them yourself, and a lot of big ones. It's always cool just being part of it and being invited. And then once you're invited, my thing was all along when we talked about this in June, even when we won races last year, we never qualified that good.
Yep.
And, I think you were talking about it earlier, the first race we won at Route 66, we qualified 15th.
Yep.
Now, they only took 8, for this deal. So I'm thinking our average qualifying position means we're not going. we're going to load up, and then we're not going to make the show. Of course, we ended up, we were P1, then down to P2, and ultimately ended up P1 in the final round with Doug. And I remember seeing that thinking, I feel like this is going to be the final round, the next day. But it was really cool to make really strong runs all day and to get to that point. But so it was great. It was really great to qualify and make a statement. It was great to get that $10,000. The money fuels all this, obviously, but it was part of the pageantry of winning that and being there, because the place was, sold out for basically 4 days. The fans stayed around late at night for the presentation. Everybody loves Clay Millican anyway, so it was just a cool deal, right? Yeah. And so, this is the Jimmy Johnson of drag racing right here, right? So it's that was really cool. I'm a little bit of a realist in that at the end of the day, it's tough to win these things.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed that we didn't win. That's what we're there to do, and we were so strong all year. Yeah. But we got beat by the world champion, and the guy we only out qualified by like 1,000th or something, right? So it's they were just a little bit on their A game better.
Yep.
So we got beat fair and square, but it was cool event.
It really was. For me, when this whole thing first started being talked about, and you and I have done this for a living for a long time, it's really unusual to see a group of racers stick together and put an event on. I think a lot of people that watch this may not realize that event was put on by you guys, the owners.
Yep. Yeah, the pro group that's made up of, I'm not even sure how many. It's I think a collective group representing, basically almost 30 cars between, Top Fuel and Funny Car. The whole thing was just really cool to be part of. I don't know. For the most part, it looked like it went off without a hitch, and it was great to see the fans. And what was cool about having the people you're talking about, obviously Cletus has got a following. 13, 20 guys are there.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Street Outlaws fan. I don't know how many times I've been sitting in bed at 11:30, and my wife's just hearing all this beeping, right? Because they're cussing all the time, right? I'm like, man, that's just part of street racing. You can't street race without cussing. I love watching all of the antics, and I love seeing the small tire cars against the big tire cars. So I'm always been a Jeff Lutz fan. Of course, he's an awesome dude anyway. But to see him there, and he's like diving in, and all these guys, it's a great melting pot of just racers.
Really was.
The weekend before that, I was at Daytona for the Roar 24-hour weekend, and I had people stopping me wanting to talk about Bradenton a week from now. Not about road racing or the NASCAR stuff, but about Bradenton and coming up. And then we drug you after, or the following weekend, to the 500.
Yep.
And it's just cool to see. I think racing fans and enthusiasts understand and respect what it is that we're trying to do and what you do, and so it's cool to see. It's cool to follow you around, because no matter where I go, from PRI to NASCAR pits or whatever, you can't walk more than about 30, 40 feet. Somebody's stopping you, man. So
on the Daytona thing, this 2 years in a row I've been with you down there, and I've been going basically my whole life. We would go, certainly not with the access I have with you, but something about that place that's magical. Like when you just go there, when you see the racetrack, see the facility, and it's basically like that entire city revolves around what's happening at that place. It's got that feel about it,
Well, you know, it's got the moniker the World Center of Speed, and when you look at the history and the kind of racing they've done, it's really like that. You know, we have a mural on the wall here of Daytona because Daytona to me is a special place because they do so much different types of racing, and we've been fortunate enough to, as owners, drivers, whatever, have multiple top tens and great finishes in a lot of different classes at Daytona, and so. It's collectively probably my overall favorite place to be. I mean, it's just cool. It's cool to be in Daytona. I love the palm trees. I love coming through either one of the tunnels. And if you haven't ever been there, it's the same feeling like going to a field race the first time. You don't know. You just don't know it. On TV, it just looks big and fast and banking. But when you come through and you look up, and it's like, man, the place is kind of special. Yeah. And when you think about all the different series and the history that's there. The only thing we haven't figured out yet is how we're going to get walls up on the front pits and run an 8th mile field race there.
I agree. Talking about the wide eyes and all that, it was pretty cool. We, mainly really you, had Brent from PFI Speed stay to experience his first ever NASCAR. And of course he's ruined now because he got all access to do it. But it was fun watching his face. You know, you'll see a lot of videos of first time people saw fuel cars run, you know, and they get that. But Brent just had this wide-eyed look about him driving through that tunnel, and it was fun watching him do that. And, and of course, you put him on the pit box, and he was like a little kid. You know, it was almost like we needed to grab him and set him down from time to time because when the car would come in for the pit area, you know, but...
We don't want him wandering off the side of the box.
Exactly. So... I know we're trying to go through the event so far this year, but I got to ask you, since we're on the Daytona thing, what is probably if I say give me your best memory from Daytona, what would it be?
You know, it's really hard to pick a favorite memory because we've run, you know, we've raced, when they had the Battle at the Beach, we've raced modifieds there. We've run Supercross. 24 hours, Cup Cars, Xfinity cars, trucks. You know, finishing top 10 at Daytona in a Cup car at the 500 and, you know, in July race is pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty competitive field, and, you know, there's a lot involved in staying out of trouble and some luck, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we've done it a fair amount of times. I keep creating new memories, to be honest with you, because, you know, every one, it's, you know, it's like a kid with ice cream. I mean, whatever ice cream you're eating at the time, that's your favorite one, right?
Favorite one, exactly.
And but you know, we've had top 10 overalls in the 24-hour. I mean, of all the you know, the LMDH's prototypes and LMP2s, and it was really cool. We were, as an owner, we were the first independent team to ever get on the podium in a 450 Supercross. And that was the mud race, and we were 4th on the last lap, and 22 seized up his bike, and you know, we ended up getting on the podium, and so that was really cool because it just had never been done. And I think Wyndham won, and I think it was Davey Millsap was second, and I was third with Jake Marsack, who was a really good mud rider, and you know, that was really cool at the time. So I don't know. It's tough to say. You know, we've had a lot of good memories.
So since we're talking bikes and Daytona, so I made it to my second flat track race. And this year, you weren't just on the podium, you were on the top of the podium there with Cody Kopp.
Yep. It was, you know, last year, the flat track was new to us, and we had Briar Bauman and Shayna Texter Bauman, and Briar got on the podium the first night, finished in 3rd with no brakes. We lost our brakes. This year, we came close. Briar, but we had Cody Kopp is new for us this year in the 450 singles, and he won the first night and finished second the second night. So we left there leading points in the 450 singles, and we're looking good with Briar as well, and Shayna's going to run all of the oval tracks and not the TTs. And you know, she's the winningest singles rider in history. So it's a neat deal. I love motorcycles. I love the oval aspect of motorcycle racing because it reminds me of just you the Martinsville, this two-wheel version of Martinsville on dirt, and it's just, I don't know, it's just cool seeing things slide sideways and go.
Oh, it's amazing.
So it was really cool to see and do. Yeah.
I got tickled at Shayna heat race. She had a little run in, didn't come off the bike, neither rider did, but when they pulled off, the guy said something to her like, you need to get out of the way, you shouldn't be out here, whatever, and her reply was, how many races have you won?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She's won more than anybody.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good, and it's just incredible to me. Again, it's the second time I've went to see Jim France and Mike Hilton there.
Yeah.
The head of NASCAR and the former president of NASCAR, how into motorsports they are, period.
Yes.
Because you weren't even with me when I saw Mr. Hilton. He comes right up and he's like, you ready for qualifying tomorrow? So it just still amazes me that they know we're in Gainesville the following day.
Yep.
And they keep up with all of it. And it's like, how do they even have the brain width or capacity to keep up with all the events they have going, but yet they know.
And they do. And, they run a lot of NASCAR events. And, of course, NASCAR owns IMSA. And a lot of people don't know that, they're the AMA Pro version and, own the Flat Track Series. They're hardcore racers. And, Jim and Mike both were, flat trackers back in the day. And that just goes to show you, that they're there getting, you stand where his 10 is on the backstretch, you're getting hit with dirt pretty hard.
100%.
So they're hardcore, and it's cool. On the NASCAR side, there's always so much work going on, and I have huge respect for both of those people, and very respectful. And on the NASCAR weekends, it's a little more, I don't know, cordial, for lack of a better word. When we're there, we're just two racing idiots, and we're talking stuff. And Jim used to race bull tacos and flat track. They're just racers, and you wouldn't know that they ran anything. They're just there to take it in. So that's what's cool. But they do follow other things because they're enthusiasts. Yep. And I think it was the All-Star race last year at North Wilkesboro. They had texted me and congratulated because we had made it into the final round. And I forget where we were at on that weekend on Sunday we were racing.
I think it was St. Louis.
I mean, it was St. Louis. But they're like, man, we can't watch anymore because we got to go to work, right? Because they got to run a little thing called the All-Star, right?
Right.
But, what's funny is that, when there's downtime, they pull up, FS1, and they're watching. Our guys in the pits and the haulers got, we got qualifying on Fridays and Saturdays and on Sundays at the eliminations. And it's a lot of common, scenarios there with racing.
I just love the fact that at the flat track race, you got these two guys who you just think is, I hate to say this, but you kind of have in your mind from the outside world, they're suit and tie guys. They run this massive freaking sanctioning body and all this, but yet here they are. They got a little Airstream trailer there, an old Wonder bus, the old bus, and they're just hanging out. They're dressed just like you are right now, and they're ready to talk racing. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And for sure they do. And actually, a lot of people. So that's the same weekend as Phoenix. And last year, I know they went to Phoenix. This year, I think they snuck away and went to the inaugural at Alabama Supercross.
No kidding.
Saturday night.
Birmingham.
Yeah. Yep. So they elected to go do that. And again, that just goes to show you, they got their finger on the pulse of everything going on in motorsports. I think this quote may not be correct, but I think 82% of all the races in the United States are sanctioned or owned by NASCAR between the K&N series and all the series and weekly racing series and stuff. So
I believe it.
It's just cool to do.
It really is, and they obviously impressed me by just knowing all the things going on. But so let's move from the flat track into Gainesville. So our first race of the year, You know, we come out of the trailer, we had a decent first qualifying run, and then we make a pretty good run, get ourselves, I think, up to number 5.
Well, we were P2 for a while. We fell to P5.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, from my perspective, you know, coming off of Bradenton, I'm like, man, you know, we've got Nicky Bonifant part of it with Jimmo now, and, you know, I really, of course, I know racing well enough to know it don't always go that way, but I'm just like, man, we're just going to roll right through it here again. But racing will let you know every now and then you're not always in charge, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, almost every weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, the odds are against you every weekend.
Yes.
So, yeah, Gainesville was a little disappointing for me because, again, we had so much momentum. We did a little bit of testing early before, you know, Bradenton. I don't really think it was luck. I think we made some mistakes.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We made some literally mechanical mistakes and decisions.
Yep.
And so that's it's tough to swallow, but it's also we know what happened, and it's not like there's this gray variable that's out there. And there's a lot of gray. I can tell you with a lot of the racing we do, there's a lot of gray in fuel because we're just making so much horsepower going so fast. You know, when stuff comes apart or happens, it's tough to always find out, you know.
Oh, yeah. Why did it do it?
It's hard. It reminds me of getting that killer Lego set that comes with 600 pieces and you dump it out. I mean, we had some pans that were just full of parts of everything, parts of rods, pistons, and blocks, and it's just, it's hard to go backwards and figure out. But, you know, we learned a bunch getting ready to go to the West Coast. And hopefully we're going to continue some of what we learned at Bradenton with some of Nicky's clutch tuning to go. You know, Jimmo's never had an issue with making power.
Oh, no.
So I think normally I'd be a little more concerned going to the 3 early West Coast races because they're cool, very fast, sticky tracks, and haven't been quite our forte. It's a little bit of hit and miss, but I think we're gonna have some pretty good runs there.
Oh, I think so too.
For sure.
You know, if truth be told, you know, yes, we didn't go down the track first round, but we were not going up there set up to run. Doug Colletta's 036 on the tree runs 365. I'm 60, which is a good light, but we weren't set up to try to run quicker than 65. I mean,
well, I think we were hoping for a 67, 68 had we not had an issue, which would have been very fast. I mean, at the end of the day, we just got to remember why he's world champion.
Yeah, exactly.
and he's been around a few years.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, it's you know, sometimes it's like, you know, you get in the final round, it's like playing the Super Bowl every weekend. You know, the person, it's very rare when somebody just lucks out to get into the final round.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, you know, that I look at that run that they made, which ended up being the quickest run of the weekend, period. You know, they didn't take us lightly. They did not go up there, you know, to make a base hit. They went up there and hit a home run, plain and simple, no doubt about it. But I am just thinking that we go to California and kind of put that one in the rear view. And I'm like you, I'm not as worried about the cool racetracks anymore. You know, we did struggle last year when the tracks were cool, and when it was hot's when we showed out, you know. But I think now Bradenton kind of showed us that we can put numbers down. I mean, the one thing we did do that I wanted to do all year last year was we made Jimmo's quickest, actually it was the entire team's except for mine, the quickest run any of them have ever made, including you, obviously. But we did improve on my mile an hour, the fastest ever. So, you know, every time we go quicker than 66 now, it'll be an improvement for you and everybody on the team. But the ultimate goal is to get to my quickest run ever, and I think we'll get there. I think that's
that would be pretty tough. That's what, the second fastest in history?
Yeah.
62?
62. So, and I think we'll get there, you know, but I'm pretty confident with what you've put together, you know, the people we got here and the equipment you've gotten us. I mean, I'm feeling really good, you know, and it's kind of jumping in both feet, you know, with this 3 races out on the West Coast, you know, having to stay out. And here at the shop today, it looks like you've got everybody lined up and motors are going in the trailer and the car's going in here shortly. Yeah,
I think we're prepared. We're better prepared by a long shot than last year. Both the depth of the people, equipment-wise, and it's a good thing because there's, you can look at a lineup and you maybe a couple guys that don't run all the races, but there's nobody that's not loaded for bear.
Yep.
Right, with parts, and so it's but that's why it makes it so cool when you beat them.
Yep. All right, buddy. So we've had a couple races with the fuel car. We've had the flat track out. Obviously, the Cup boys have had several races. So is the first part of the season as the owner, is it harder, or is it kind of like you're just kind of getting yourself back into the groove, even though you really don't have no time off? But I mean, is there a point where it's like, okay, the trucks and rigs have left and they're on the way to the racetrack? At what point does that kind of start to become just automatic? And
I'd say probably coming up this week, because once we're out on the road this weekend in the Cup at Austin at Coda, and we have 1 week off, and then we go to Vegas, and I think in Vegas we're also at Richmond, I think. But it's kind of like all the work it takes to get the airplane off the ground. You know, Robbie always talks about, you know, we burn a lot of energy and a lot of fuel to get up in the air. Once it's up in the air, you just got to keep, you know, hopefully some tailwind and keep the fuel in and keep it going.
Keep flapping, yeah.
So I think we're at that point now. I think we've got off the ground. We haven't quite got to 30,000 feet yet. This year it's been a little bit easier with some of the series and tougher with other, just depending on, because we're trying to elevate everything. You know, we ended up building all brand new bikes for flat track, 3 super twins, and then adding Cody Kopp to the mix later on, the last minute, so to speak. And so there was a lot of work there. On the fuel side, we're trying to have more depth, and obviously our backup car, which was the car that ran 362, got destroyed once, fixed, got destroyed again, and the backside fixed, and then finally got finished off. So we had to kind of work around that and prepare. And so we're just now still getting our backup car, a new one built. And so in the back of my mind as an owner, everything's good until it doesn't be good.
Right.
And you know, last year, kind of the whole West Coast swing, like this deal, we had to really catch up because we hurt the car at
3 in a row.
At Dallas, we hurt the car at Vegas, and we had to come back and cut some clips off and switch cars completely and get guys from North Carolina to bring something to meet us in Indianapolis. So that worries me just a little bit, but you know, we're at the point where I think we're getting there pretty good.
I agree. So I want to ask, the Cup cars have a lot of speed. The results may not be exactly where you've wanted them, but the cars have been fast. I mean, do you feel like you've made the jump? I'm more of an outsider on that, because when I come here, I come to this shop. I don't go to the Cup shop. It appears to me that y'all have made huge strides in moving the Cup cars forward.
We have. You know, the drivers are doing a really good job. I have to say that we're seeing the fruits of what we started actually 2 years ago, of building better depth at the shop, because with this new program with the Gen 7 cars, we have very little practice time, like 15, 18 minutes or something. If we go to some tracks, like at Phoenix with the new package, we got 50 minutes, which is just one session, and then go straight to qualifying. And some, like at Atlanta's and Daytona's and Talladega's, we have zero practice. So the work has really got to be done at the shop before it gets to the track. And we've known that, but knowing it and being able to do something about it are two different things, because it's all about the people. So, you know, last year, mid-season, we brought in Tommy Baldwin. We upped our motor program at Tier 1 with Doug Yates Motors. We really dove in deep with our alliance. And it's one thing to get the information. It's another to be able to have the people, the depth, the time to implement it. And that sounds simple, but with these cars, to do that, it just requires more people to build your speedway cars way sooner. your road course cars way sooner, all these things, while you're in the process of racing and tearing up your existing cars and then moving them to the back of the line and moving them up. So it's been a slow generation process of bringing in more cars and more people. So, you know, Robbie's worked, you know, tirelessly to really concentrate on the Cup side, and you know, the depth is definitely there. So yeah, we need to implement a little bit better, because once you fix one thing and you run better, you find the new weak link, and so you know, we've had some pit issues and loose wheels and some penalties and things, and in and out, and lost some laps and stuff. But overall, the Cup program is fantastic. You know, we had a lot of different drivers that were very, very good drivers last year in the car, but we didn't really move the needle. We didn't see it because we could not implement correctly, and man, we're doing that this year. You know, Justin has had some great speed. You know, Kaz is a rookie, and he's had some great finishes. You know, at Atlanta, and so we're, you know, Riley did a good job at Daytona as well. So right now, when people get in these cars, they're going fast.
Yep. So I think that we'll try to do this again. I don't know when, because like I say, it's really getting crazy now, but we're going to kind of try and do our dangest to keep bringing y'all more content here on RWRTV. It's fun. I actually enjoy sitting down and just.
Well, we don't get. We got to make time, right?
Yes.
Because you know, we talk on the phone all the time or texting, and you're on the way to go pitch some product or do some YouTube, and I'm trying to get the bills paid and get new sponsors and keep all you prima donna drivers happy, and you know, make sure I get rid of all the red M&Ms, and you have the right amount of ice in your Coke, and you know
the proper flavors, drinks, and all that sort of stuff. That's
but
for sure.
yeah, no, it's this is awesome, man.
It is.
We're gonna do some more of it, and do some more impromptu stuff at different tracks, and it's gonna be cool.
Yep, and you never know what you're going to see, so stay tuned in.
All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you have questions or comments, don't be afraid to ask in-depth questions. Don't be afraid to ask hard questions that maybe I don't like to hear or you want to know, or you know, we got some fans and we got some haters, so I don't know. Just we're telling it kind of like it is. Absolutely. And sharing with you what we're doing, and hopefully you like it. But let us know, because we're doing this to kind of interact and take you along for the ride.
Absolutely. Like I say, comment down below whatever it is, but I can tell you this. I may not have time to reply to every comment, but I do my dangest to read them all, and I have seen a pile of them thanking you for letting me do some of the crazy stuff we've been doing here lately, and RWR is the only team out there doing that, and we appreciate it.
We're going to do more.
Appreciate you guys watching.
Thank you, guys.
Click that like button, subscribe, share. See you in the next one.
That's right. Cool.